I'm here in Cannes with Bob Lord, the president of AOL. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
In the new world, data is critically important. Can you please talk to us about AOL's approach to data?
Yeah, no, I think, listen, as we start to look at the media industry and look at the transformation that's happening in the media and marketing landscape, I think brands are demanding accountability on the media dollar that they're spending. So our approach at AOL is to make sure that they get value for the dollar that they spend and sort of eliminate a lot of the waste in the system that's inherent in sort of all the complication and the chaos that happens with buying. So data is essential fuel for that. So it makes us accountable to the brand to ensure that the pound that they're spending or the dollar that they're spending, that there's a return on that dollar. Just like you and I would put a pound in the bank, you expect a return back on that. It's really the same kind of thing in the media space. They want to know that we effectively reached a consumer, that the consumer has done something different, and their behavior has changed based on that advertising and that buy. So data fuels that, and data, from our perspective, is not an owned strategy. It's actually a ubiquitous open strategy, because the more data we have about that consumer, we can understand whether or not the dollar that they've spent is actually being effectively spent.
So key to AOL's strategy is the openness of the data versus the closed shops of other platforms.
Yeah, so the key to the data strategy for us is to be open. And what I mean by open is that I firmly believe as a media company that the brand advertiser or the agency owns the data. They own the consumer insight. So what we do at AOL is we have our data set that we start with, and then we augment that data set with other open sources. And the way that we augment that data allows us to have better insight for targeting for a consumer, not only to deliver content, but also to deliver ad experiences. So the more open our strategy is, we find, the more exponential we get information around the consumer, and the more value we can bring to brand advertisers. So fundamental to who we are as a company is all about openness and ownership. Ownership of that data is not about me as a media company owning that and holding that data. It's about allowing the client and the brand to own that data so they can gather more insight on their consumer.
And so the deal with Verizon comes with a load of data.
Oh yeah.
So how's that going to work out? What's the future for AOL with that exciting news?
Yeah. So the excitement of Verizon for AOL is it allows AOL to continue on its journey of creating the next generation media company. But what Verizon allows us to do is allows us to stay as an independent division within Verizon, but it gives us resources around data and around product innovation at an accelerated pace to go up against some of the big players in the marketplace globally. That allows us to become a must-buy for all brand advertisers. So we become a very, very viable alternative very quickly to a Facebook and a Google and other media providers around the world.
And that's where you feel your position now is up against those guys internationally.
100%. I mean, if you look at where the shift of media dollars are going, a propensity is going to those two big media players. And I believe that our approach and the scale that we're going to be having with the Verizon assets coming into our division, we're going to be able to offer a very compelling offer to brand advertisers that will be on par, or I believe actually better, because of the insight we're going to have on data.
So a lot of dollars are flowing in from digital. Do you see programmatic coming to TV now and leveling the playing field?
Yeah. So when you really start thinking about programmatic and you really get to the basis of programmatic, it's about automation. And we've done a really good job about automating display media, mobile media, and video media, mostly in the online space. So it's not a very far leap to say that linear TV, as we get more digital signals in place, will actually become programmatic buying. And it's all about sort of the evolution of the supply companies and how they've actually digitized their supply and the access that we're able to get into linear TV supply. We actually went as far as creating a partnership with a company in Australia called MCN, who is one of the largest linear TV supply companies there, and plummeted our technology there so that we could deliver programmatic ads and automated advertising into their linear TV supply. And we're there currently doing it now. So just to prove the technology can work,
Yeah.
right? That will actually then force other regions of the country to sort of get on board with sort of this programmatic buying thing. Because honestly, what we have seen is where content is good and there's an audience, the demand and the price goes up for those shows and others will go down. So you sort of are able to automatically get the demand and supply right around linear TV. And we're seeing it happen very effectively in Australia, and we're hopeful, over the next year that we're going to go into other regions in Europe and then eventually into the US with it.
How does a video on demand strategy fit in all that?
Yeah, so video on demand for me is really just another venue of a pipe that you just are reading the signals of when someone's consuming something, and then you're supporting an advertisement or an ad experience in there. So it's just another version of sort of what we're building. So our video platform works on video on demand, and then sort of it'll expand into linear TV. So for me, the technology is ubiquitous enough where it can actually read the signals of when someone's consuming content, and then actually what kind of ad experience we deliver there. So for me, it's just sort of, it doesn't matter where it's coming from. I just need to know the viewing audience, and I need to understand the signals.
How's it working in Australia so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's, we look at all the media buying agencies, and all of them are participating in sort of our ecosystem of the AOL technology with MCN and sort of the supply. And, incrementally, I think we've already exceeded our expectations of what would be bought from a programmatic standpoint. And it's all about just opening up the supply wider and the demand from the brand advertisers and the agencies to say, you know what, this is an efficient way of doing this. I like the tracking. I like it to understand. I want more of it. So we sort of take a baby step at it. But I do think from a consumer benefit standpoint, if we really understand what someone's consuming in content and we can serve them relevant advertising and ad experiences, everybody sort of gets a better lift out of this whole thing. And then quite honestly, the brand advertiser gets a benefit because then they understand that someone's actually used their ad or they viewed their ad, and their confidence level of spending more in that vein is better.
Bob Lord, President of AOL, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.